Welcome back to Steve Rob Reviews. Today's review is going to be all about no start. I've got my Stihl FS240 trimmer on the bench here and it will not start. So I've got it just tore down a bit. Going to do some testing, and all this testing will apply for either 2-stroke or 4-stroke, and I'm going to give you a really good tip on how to tell if your coil is actually operable. So let's go over to the bench. Let's take a look. Okay, as you can see, all I did was took the cover off the top here, and the problem we have is no spark. So there's all kinds of different ways, to figure out what's going on. Is it your coil? Is it your spark plug? I'm going to show you how I do it, and it's a little bit different than what you see most do. So anyways, the first thing that most people would do is just pull the spark plug out, like I did right here, ground it, and then give it a couple of pulls, because it's so much easier when the plug's out, right? Give it a couple of pulls, see if you get any spark. So we'll do that first. Okay, see, it's pretty dark right there. Okay, I give it a couple of pulls. Absolutely no spark. Okay, so I actually have a brand new spark plug. Put the brand new spark plug in. Exact same thing. Ground it out. And I'm not seeing no spark. So what's the next thing that we do? So at this point you're wondering, okay, so maybe some of your wiring is shorted out and it's shorting out the coil, and the coil is not operable because, well, maybe the on and off switch on your particular engine is bypassing the coil and turning it off, shorting it to ground. Well, if you just get one of these ordinary spark tester, right? If I can just get it in the picture here. There we go. Ordinary spark tester. So you put this end here into your lead, and then the other end, you're supposed to actually put it on the end of your spark plug. And if we take a look at your spark plug right here. So this is a solid core, or it's got a resistor in there, solid core from here right to the tip. And it has to jump a gap. In this particular situation, 20 thou. So you screw that into your engine, and you put the alligator clip on the top. Well, we're not going to do that, because I'm only testing to see if this coil has the ability to spark. So I wonder if you can see that in the shot. Okay, I'll hold it up a little bit like this. Now I'm just going to pull it over. I'm sure you can see that from there. Right? All you can see that? All that's telling me is this is actually a working coil. But it's not strong enough to actually make a spark. It's a weak coil. So let me just tear this apart. I'll bring you back and we'll take this coil out. Okay, so we got it all stripped down. This is 10 minutes later to get this far. These machines are so easy to break down. It's just incredible, the design. And here's the coil right here. And, this machine I bought in 2016. For hours, I would say this has, at the most, 25 hours. And the coil is pooched already. So let's just take the coil off. I mean, that's not too bad at all, is it? Okay, so here's the coil. So let's just do a little bit of testing. Well, there's two testing spots. You test here, and you test from here. So let's start off with, we'll go from the boot to here. So we got about 3,000 ohms. Go to here, 3,000 ohms. So we'll go from this lead to here. And I'm getting OL. All I know this coil doesn't work. So we're going to have to compare it to a new coil. And when you think about it, 25 hours. This is an original Stihl coil. And do you think I'm going to buy another original Stihl coil with 25 hours and it's pooched? I don't think so. So I'll show you the coil that I bought. Okay, we're back. You know, I went inside, I had some lunch, and I thought, this OL doesn't make sense to me. So I just like to revisit this because I'm thinking, well, I got to consider polarity. So this is the kill switch that kills the coil when you turn the switch to stop the machine, right? So we're going to start this again. We'll go over again. So I got it attached with the positive lead to the spark plug boot. And we're just going to go on the bottom here, do it again. Okay, there you go, 3,000 ohms. And on this one here, 3,000 ohms. So what I did last time is I disconnected the positive lead, touched it here, and I got this OL. Like, you know, and I'm thinking, this doesn't make sense. And I mean, leads are working and everything. And then I thought, okay, so what if there's a diode in here? Would that make a difference? So what I did was I put the negative lead on here. So we'll put the negative lead on. Now I never considered polarity. Usually when I test for resistance, polarity doesn't seem to matter in most instances when I'm testing. So let's go over here again. Now we're getting 5.4 mega ohms. And on here, 5.4 mega ohms. So that's the result that I'm seeing. If any of you know the difference of polarity, this is a kind of first for me. The only thing I can think of is they have a diode in here. And that's the only reason why I'm getting a difference of using polarity when testing ohms. So let's get the new coil out and let's test that and let's see what the difference actually is between the old coil and the new. Okay, so let's just open up the package here. And here's the coil. Now I will tell you something. For one of these coils, well, I could get 3 of these coils for one of the Stihl. And we're just going to compare it, see what it looks like. And it's comparable to the same. Now it doesn't have this little thing. I can transfer that over. And yeah, it's pretty much the same. So how about we just do the testing like we did with the original one. And just to see what it is. If I can get this probe in here. Okay, hopefully I got a good enough contact there. Okay, and so I don't think I got a connection. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold it here because it's sealed in there really good. Okay, so I got everything in the shot here. Let's see how we go. Okay, I still don't have a connection. We'll try this. There we go. Okay, 2.9. 2.9. Okay, so what we did last time, which is a little bit different, was we had to reverse the polarity, but we'll just try it and see what happens here. Same as before, so I got to reverse the polarity. Okay, let's see what we get. 2 mega ohms. 2 mega ohms. Okay, let's go back to this one here. 3.6. 3.6. Okay, I don't know. So I'm going to put it on the machine. I'll bring you back. Well, what I'll do is I'll show you how you mount these. which would be a good idea. And so the spec for this particular coil is 0.30 mil. And so I got 2 feeler gauges here, and the closest I could get was 0.305. Now I'll tell you something. The specs for this from Stihl give you a lot of variance. You know, so I mean, it's not like you got to be exact with it or anything, but you know, you can see there's a lot of variance between, you know, the 0.30 and the plus and the minus. So these are the 2 feeler gauges. I'll get you zoomed in pretty good so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll show you how you mount this coil. Okay, so there you are there. Now if you take a look on the flywheel, you can see where there's magnets here. Okay, so you back it off till you're away from the magnets, and then you take your coil and you mount it. And the thing that I do all the time is I always mount it in the highest position. Now the highest position means the furthest away from the flywheel as possible. And you just kind of snug them up. And do the bottom one here. Okay, you could see how high it is sitting up there? Okay, so now you turn the flywheel to where the magnets are. See right there? Oh, no you don't. You see right there. Okay, so at this point, what I do is I'll stick one of my feeler gauges in that is a proper spacing between here and the bottom. And I just loosen this up. You see it drop right down right away? That's what you want. And then I get to the middle one here. There. Now that's a tight fit. That's a tight fit in there. But snug it up. Then you should be able to just pull these out, no problem. And turn the flywheel, take the spark plug out. Turn the flywheel so it's not hitting nothing, as you could see. And then what I'll do is the same as before, is I'll put the plug in and we'll do an electrical test on the plug, see if we get any spark. Okay, can you see that? It's pretty dark. Well, I could see lots of spark. I hope you could see that in there. Lots of spark. See if I can zoom that in a little bit more for you. Okay, that's the best I can do, balancing everything on here and pulling at the same time. So, well, I hope you can see that. It's sparking. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is give me 10 minutes to put this whole machine together. And then I'm going to stick it out in the lawn and we're going to see if this baby starts up, because I'm sure it will. Okay, so as you can see, she's running like a top. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you off the tripod, I'm going to bring you over to the workbench, and I'm going to share some tips with you that I hope you find quite interesting, because I've learned some of these tips the hard way, pulling your arm way too many times, trying to get something started when it was very obvious that, you know what, you got to find a better way. So I'm going to share some of these tips. Let's go over to the bench. Okay, let's start off with the fuel. I get 93 octane fuel. I got no ethanol in this, and I use this particular gallon for just this machine here. Because if I were to try and use the fuel that I use for this, now this is my leaf blower, and I tell you something, this Hitachi is pretty well, it can run on anything pretty well. It's between 20 and 50 to 1 gas to oil mixture. The Stihl is 50 to 1, and you better use good gas, because I've run into this before where somebody had gas that was like 6 months old. It was mixed 50 to 1, and it was just regular fuel. And you know what? This will not pop off on it. No way you're going to get it started. You have to use the high test fuel, and it's got to be fresh fuel, or this high compression engine will not start. Okay, so Stihl has a way of making some specialized tools all the time. So you'll find a lot of times you got to grind down the tops here. This is for adjusting the carb. And so I just use a regular socket, and I just grind down the top here just to help a lot, right? Okay, so I did go through some testing on this coil. Now regularly I don't do that. I just put the spark plug to the, like I showed you how it shows a spark, and that's it. But I wanted to show exactly how there are a lot of videos out there where they're testing the coil. And I will tell you something. I can prove to you by testing a coil that the readings are bad and the coil is bad. But what I can't do, and I've never been able to do, is show a coil that passes all the resistance testing, but the coil still will not work. So I mean, I showed where if you use a test light for the coil, yeah, you can get this test light to light up, but it won't fire the plug. So, you know, for all that testing that I did, well, just test the spark plug, puts it under load, and you'll see whether the coil is good or if it's not good. And you have to make sure you isolate this wire. So if you've got an on and off switch, yeah, just disconnect this wire. This is the only thing that stops it, this right here. So that's pretty much it. And so I would say from the time I started this job to the time I finished it, including filming and everything else, will be roughly an hour. And I think everybody could do this particular job. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things that I do every week, just like this. Cheers.